Ever wonder how to get the best looking lawn on the block? You know, the kind where all the neighbors drive by slowly and stare at your well manicured masterpiece thinking you must be a turf wizard? Yeah, we thought so. At Earthway Products, we have your back with all the right lawn and garden tools that allow you to dominate and win the prize of best looking lawn on the block. We have all types of spreaders that are professional grade, built for accuracy, efficiency, and toughness. Simply said, Earthway products are engineered to last, and we have over 50 patents to prove it. That's our way of saying you can have confidence that our products will get the job done and make your life easier. We also have a fertilizer program that will help you grow a lawn greenskeepers will envy. So whether you're a homeowner, lawn care operator, facilities manager, business owner, or golf course superintendent, Earthway is here to help you make a perfect first impression. Stop by earthway.com and experience the difference. That's earthway.com. Proudly American made in America's heartland, Bristol, Indiana.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here, hanging with you guys in good morning. Well, actually, having this podcast come to you guys mobile studios all the way down from beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, but bringing you an audio clip, an excerpt from Boston, Massachusetts. Now, this short excerpt was just the talk and presentation and speech from Joe Policastro, who is the partner with Cycle CPA, him and his beautiful wife, Carla. And those guys did a great presentation for about 15, 20 minutes talking about the importance of bookkeeping, fractional CPAs, fractional CFO work, really getting a handle on knowing your numbers and having a partner in your corner for your bookkeeping and accounting needs. And Joseph just went through about a 15 or 20 minute portion of the presentation talking about how to help you guys grow and how to really partner with you guys to grow out there in the green industry. Now, long story short, you guys can use our code to sign up with Cycle CPA. They are a Brian's affiliate partner. Absolutely love what Carl and Joseph are doing for the industry. We've used them for about 4 years now, and absolutely love their reporting, absolutely love their benchmarking, their KPIs. We have a quarterly and a monthly call with those guys, and they're just fantastic. I mean, honestly, I couldn't speak highly enough of them. And here's one thing I just want to encourage you guys as you're listening to this whole conversation and some of the storytelling, analogies, and points that Joseph was making was, what are you doing to build your winning team in 2024 into 2025? Right? Like, do you have a good bookkeeper? Do you have a good CPA? Do you have a good payroll provider? Right? Like, these are the 3 or so of the different 5, 6, 7 people you're going to need, including a good insurance agent, a good banker, so on and so forth, right? But if you don't have a good bookkeeper, right, this is the conversation that I want you to listen into to just do a little self-check. Rate yourself on a 1 to 10. Where are you at on your books? Where are you at on your end-of-year tax planning strategy? Where are you at the financial outlook of your company with your cash on hand, your cash flow management? What's your balance sheet look like? All these different conversations, including, of course, working with your monthly P&L to see how you're doing with your company. And if you don't have this conversation happening with your business, if you've never understood the role that a bookkeeper has, or really if you're already starting to hit the 6-figure revenue mark and you're like, you know what, something's got to change. I definitely need help. Who can I rely on to help me and coach me and help educate me a little bit along the way and hold my hand through this whole process of having my books being compliant, have this reporting, and so much more? That's where I want to just turn you guys on to Carla and Joseph, okay? So Joseph's going to take it away. I mic'd him up really quick when we were at the Boston Mastermind there, hanging out with Mark Bradley and so many more great people. I mean, there was so much talent in that room. But I said, Joseph, do you mind if I share this excerpt with our audience? There's a lot of great tips, a lot of great nuggets that Joseph was relating to. He obliged. He said, absolutely, of course, anything to help you out. And I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're going to just share that with you guys today. Again, if you don't have a bookkeeper on your team, and in fact, I was just talking to my brother Adam with Branded Bull as their company continues to grow, right? And as their company continues to hit some pretty good revenue growth in year 4, but really about the last 2.5 years, having like more formal company formation, they're literally right now signing up with Cycle CPA to have them run the books for Branded Bull. Like how ironic. And I was telling Adam and Lauren, as they continue to build a team and build their company and doing everything that we're doing, of course, like they're helping you guys grow your business, but they alone themselves are going through this whole process as a growing company. Like they're just hitting some of these good revenue benchmarks as well. And I think they're literally signing up today as this podcast episode drops real time on Monday. So how cool is that? So all things being said, I want you guys to have a robust team. I want you guys to have a stout team. Listen, I will just tell you, there's other folks that offer financial services and bookkeeping in the industry. I will just tell you, none of them are going to get my blessing. None of them are going to get the nod except for Cycle CPA. Okay, so don't waste time. Don't look left. Don't look right. You're not here to compare rates. I'm just telling you, partner with the best. Look up Cycle CPA. Tell them we sent you. They'll save you a couple $100 with your onboarding and all that fun stuff. But I'm just telling you, these guys are the real deal. And I really invite you guys to check them out and give them a fair shake and a fair nod if you guys are looking to get a better hold on your books, to have less stress, less worries, less hassles as you guys go into 2025 and have a better understanding of your financials than ever before. Especially if you got good growth, great growth, and you guys are looking to have a handle on all of these numbers that are coming at you and what do they all make sense. So let's be honest, we're landscapers. We're not accountants and bookkeepers. So we need to have somebody kind of dumb it down for us, at least myself included, to understand what the heck is going on, quote unquote, in our business with cash in, cash out, debt, what we can do, what we can't do, how healthy our business is running, and so much more, okay? So that's it. I just wanted to turn you guys on to Cycle CPA. I grabbed this quick excerpt from Joe and his talk over there at the Boston Mastermind with Mark Bradley. Again, go to cyclecpa.com. You can check them all out. They have our endorsement for sure. I know so many of you guys are already using their program and their platform and their company, but if you haven't yet, check them out. This is my big call to action that you guys, if you're looking for a bookkeeper and you don't have one just yet, and you're scratching your head saying, who do we hire, who do we go with? This is where you can make that connection and check out Cycle CPA. All right, guys, let's do this really quick. Let's pivot, and we will catch up with you guys here on the next episode. But for all intents and purposes, let's hear from Joseph and Cycle CPA. Let's go.
One of the biggest things, the financials are going to be one of the things that are going to be crucial, as Mark was mentioning, and I think it's important. Looking at a lot of this data is nice, but as the leader of your companies, it's looking at stuff like this and then putting it into ways that your team can take action based on it. Not just telling them, listen, our net profit is X, we need to improve. I was a baseball guy. I used to hate when a coach would say, oh man, we need to win next time, guys. Well, is there any other advice that you have for the team? Things that we can work on. So, and that's really what this comes down to as well. I apologize. Looks like my computer went off. And this reporting, my wife and I, as we kind of started Cycle CPA, we wanted to basically come up with something that, versus working with a traditional CPA firm and being able to kind of work with them. This is something where, as a seasonal company, when you're looking at your profit and loss statement, looking at your numbers compared to the previous month is not going to be as helpful for you. So we always recommend look at it versus what happened last year in that specific month, or in other terms, year to date. So year to date meaning January to, in this example, it was up to October 31st. So that's basically what you're seeing in this first column here. And then comparing it to the previous year, seeing what the trend is. So, and this is the cost of goods, right? Or all of the direct costs that are associated with providing the work in the field. And another important thing about this is making sure that your chart of accounts is set up where you can make sure that things that are within your direct costs should be there, right? Like field labor versus overhead labor, which we're going to see some of the overhead expenses as well. And this is some of the nice and fancy stuff once you're able to kind of get some of that accurate foundation down. And then also able to look at the last column here where it shows the industry median. So That's basically a compilation of the clients that we work with. So a couple hundred companies in the green industry, and each company optimizes in a different way. But this helps to kind of give a baseline based on, okay, what are things we can improve on? Because it's great to, or I shouldn't say it's great, but you're looking at your bank balance at the end of the year, or you're looking at your net profit, and you don't really know what to improve on, right? And that's really one of the main things here. Helping to make some of the managerial decisions based on the numbers. And this is something that we oftentimes, especially within the percentile category, some of our clients like showing this to even their management team as well, because it's an objective way to really see how your company's doing. Um, because some of your team might think that a goal is unreasonable, right? Or you know they can't reach it. But when you tell them, say, listen, this is what the average company's doing, it helps to put things in a better perspective there. So this company, you can see their total cost of goods actually increased a little bit from the previous year, and it is within the third percentile. And the goal would be to be in the fourth or fifth percentile. This benchmark category is more of companies that provide a mix of different services within the green industry, and we can basically break your numbers out and compare them to benchmarks in regard to install companies or more maintenance and recurring services. But this just kind of gives you a general idea. And then some of the overhead costs, right? So everything from advertising and marketing to utilities, repairs and maintenance. And I think when you're looking at this aspect of your profit and loss statement, it's understanding that there's a big difference between items that you get an ROI on, and then other things that maybe you should consider cutting, or maybe there are ways that we can be a little bit more efficient. I know I was speaking with someone in the back. He works with some people from Colombia, and they've been phenomenal and helped to lower some of those overhead costs with some of the administrative salaries. So it's and but your profit and loss statement, that doesn't show you the full picture, right? So looking at profitability metrics, and trying to understand, almost as if you were to go to the doctor's office, or even referencing baseball again, a lot of people used to know their stats, right? Or if you played a sport in the past, you really know your team stats. I mean, there's someone literally doing it all game long. But in your business, are you putting that same attention towards it? And this is a way that you can see a full snapshot of what the financial health of the company is, right? So everything from your profitability, and that includes things like not only your net income, but also return on fixed assets, right? So it's great to be able to invest funds into equipment and trucks, but making sure that you're finding the right projects, and you have the right people working on those projects, and making sure that you're making net income based on the amount of trucks and equipment that the company has. Oftentimes this time of year, a lot of tax CPAs might suggest to purchase something. That could be great to decrease tax liability, but always making sure that it also helps with the productivity and the operation of the company. Looking at field labor efficiency, overhead labor efficiency, liquidity metrics, so how well are you able to cover debt within the company and upcoming payments. Leverage, almost similar to how you would look at your house, right? That's a way you can think about it, where you're, if you have a mortgage, right? That's like your liability. Asset is your home value. If your mortgage made up a big part of your home value, that's going to be a bigger risk, right? So looking at your business in a similar way. Again, looking more into assets as well. How much revenue is being generated based on the equipment and trucks that the company has? So trying to cover all your bases. And it's great to look at your numbers against industry average, or look at them compared to the previous year. But ultimately, you want to run a lean company, and you want to shoot for high profits, right? And you have bigger goals, and you want to build those goals and targets, and be able to hold your team accountable to those. And that's something you can do here. And this is more to show you guys what is possible, right? Even if you take some of these things and you talk to your current accountant and say, okay, listen, is there a way we can see how well we're utilizing some of our assets, or is there a way I can set some targets for some of the metrics? And on our YouTube channel, Cycle CPA, we take a deep dive into a lot of these as well. Looking at things like return on equity, right? So there's a reason that, well, I should say, whenever I talk to young people, I say, listen, you should start a landscape company. It's a great industry to be in. And I know it's not the easiest at times, right? But it's and the industry, I think even some of the data for the return on equity this year is around 47%, right? So it's the return that you're getting on your business, pretty much you can say, right? So the money you've invested in, retained in the company. So I think looking at stuff like this helps to keep you motivated, right? Understanding that not only you're building something to eventually maybe sell in the future, but you're building something that you're getting a great return on, right? So even if you're having those tough days, right? And, maybe you had to fire someone yesterday, or, you guys left for this trip and something happened just as you were about to leave. And, it's good to see stuff like this. And another thing too, guys, I don't be afraid to reach out for help in regards to financial stuff. It can be pretty intimidating, especially if this is not something that you've necessarily seen in the past. But the first step is literally just being able to see where you're at. What are the financials looking like? How can I improve? Right. And you can't really move forward if you don't know what to improve on. So looking at owner's compensation, and you have the whole managerial accounting aspect, right? Just as a large company might have a CFO, taking advantage of stuff like this kind of fulfills that, looking at reporting, thinking about risk and cash flow, profitability. But you have the other side of the coin where it's tax planning, tax prep, focusing on that, how to decrease tax liability as much as legally possible, right? So we can kind of have those conversations with you as well, making sure you're paying yourself the correct amount, especially based on your entity structure. Labor efficiency, right? So if you're more of an install-based company, it could be 15 to 20% of revenue. If you do maintenance, it could be 30, 35% of revenue. So it's just continuing to figure out, okay, based on the services that you provide and the mix of services that you provide, knowing what your goal is. And then for those that want to get a little bit more advanced with it, you can even look at it more from a perspective of within a company, you have a lot of pass-through costs within your cost of goods or your direct costs. So for instance, if your team goes and installs a very expensive piece of material in one property, but it takes the same amount of time it does at another property to install something that's half as expensive, that shouldn't impact your labor efficiency, right? So this is what that basically shows, right? It kind of takes out materials and some of those other pass-through, costs as well. Overhead, right? Install-based companies, maybe around 8% is a good target, right? So think about anyone who's not actually physically touching the work in the field. So administrative management, and and like I said, I think it's great to try to be creative with this. And as you grow and scale, look for options. And I know Mark mentioned, instead of solving all your problems by trying to hire someone, is there a software? Is there technology? Is there fractional staff we can use? Is there part-time staff we can use? And also want to make sure that if you have a specific goal, um, there is a certain risk to maybe hiring people up front in regards to the overhead, or just other aspects of your company. So making sure that whatever sales goal you're setting for yourself in 2025, making sure that you're being realistic with that, and that you have metrics and data to back that, and also redundancies and things that you can kind of count on as you're trying to hit that mark as well. Subcontractors, each company has a different setup like that, but just again, it gives you an example of different things you can measure. Now, as a company scales, you would, and there's a lot of misconceptions out there. Some people think that the larger a company gets, the less profitable it should be, or the smaller you get. A lot of people have different thoughts on this, but we work with profitable companies, all sizes. So really, once you once you're a sole proprietor, or kind of like a solo operator, I should say, that's when your profits could be 50%, right? Because you're not paying someone in the field. But once you kind of leave that, I mean, really, profitability is something you should definitely. I think shooting for 20% is a great target. And so basically, from a bird's eye view, as your revenue grows, making sure that your direct costs and your overhead don't grow at a faster rate to that. And looking at stuff like this, this graph here, that's something that you can monitor. Marketing, a lot of discussions about that. Your number one job is to make sure that your team continues to work in the field. And if that's not happening, if you're not getting the amount of projects within your pipeline that are needed, then spending an extra couple percent on marketing a year is going to pay off tremendously. Especially if you can get twice the amount of leads and twice the amount of business. Worst case scenario, then you can just be a lot more picky and just work with the really profitable clients. So it's just a win-win situation, and making sure that you're also measuring marketing based off of not only top line revenue, but net profit, because that's how you're going to be able to then reinvest back into the company. And that's really what this graph shows as well. Materials expense, that's a pass-through expense. Think of that as something that the customer is going to be paying for. Net cash flow, right? There's a lot of those items, or a lot of people I think are maybe sometimes a little bit more comfortable looking at a profit and loss statement, looking at expenses and revenues, but there's a lot of things in there that, or I should say, there's a lot of items even in your balance sheet that impact the cash coming in and out of the company as well. So loan payments, asset purchases, right? And a company could be making 15% net profit, but in this example, you can see net cash flow is around 4%, right? Which is just another example of why you want to don't settle for a 5% net profit. Don't settle for even a 10% net profit. I think shooting for that 15 or 20% is really ideal. Also being able to build cash on hand targets as well, so that you can stay in the offensive, right? And make you feel comfortable about making that next investment and growing the company. Making sure you set some funds aside for tax liability as well. And what I recommend is typically having a proactive meeting throughout the year with your tax CPA, not just once the year ends, because then you're kind of limited in what you can do with that. Cash flow, again, this is just another graphic you can utilize as well to kind of see, okay, where is all that cash coming in and out of the company? Sometimes it seems like you're making a profit, but at the end of the day, not a lot to show for it. Break even, right? What is that revenue that you need to make just to cover your costs, right? So it's having understanding of that, knowing your margin of safety, right? How much revenue above that are you shooting for as well? And then when you're purchasing equipment and trucks, just as your employees are there to help generate revenue and profitability for the company, your trucks and equipment should be doing the same thing at the end of the day, right? So these are all things that when you're trying to make those decisions, how new are your assets? I know we had a company looking to acquire another company, and we saw the asset newness ratio, and it showed that their assets were very old, right? So it's good to understand a lot of these different metrics to give you that full view of how the company's doing. Repairs and maintenance. If you see this increasing over time, maybe we should really think about replacing some of your equipment and upgrading as well. And then, as I mentioned, with the leverage, not being over leveraged with debt. Here's a quick view in regard to having the updated numbers so that you can then update your budget and LMN as well, understanding that there is more cost to an employee than just their salary, right? So all of those, which is your labor burden, right? So payroll taxes, benefits, insurance, all of those things that are incorporated there. And a common question I get in regard to things like labor burden is, I think companies almost being a little bit too hesitant when they look to maybe take on an employee and they think, oh, there's going to be all these expenses that are associated with it. Build it into your budget. There's a lot of expenses in your company. As long as you build it into your budget, I think just really leading with that, and then even payroll. Some of you might be looking to hire your first employee next year. I typically recommend Gusto. It's a great payroll platform, and it's streamlined as well. So, and then just looking at the traditional financial reports, and then there's some definitions at the end as well. But that's pretty much what it looks like, guys. And I think, and I know Mark showed the 10 different components of the business, and I think if your financial and accounting side is not where it should be, I don't want it to be your bottleneck. Just like some of the other aspects of your company. So, thank you.
Learn more about Cycle CPA. Connect with them and take advantage of a special offer using the link in the podcast description. Ever wonder how to get the best looking lawn on the block? You know, the kind where all the neighbors drive by slowly and stare at your well manicured masterpiece thinking you must be a turf wizard? Yeah, we thought so. At Earthway Products, we have your back with all the right lawn and garden tools that allow you to dominate and win the prize of best looking lawn on the block. We have all types of spreaders that are professional grade, built for accuracy, efficiency, and toughness. Simply said, Earthway products are engineered to last, and we have over 50 patents to prove it. That's our way of saying you can have confidence that our products will get the job done and make your life easier. We also have a fertilizer program that will help you grow a lawn greenskeepers will envy. So whether you're a homeowner, lawn care operator, facilities manager, business owner, or golf course superintendent, Earthway is here to help you make a perfect first impression. Stop by earthway.com and experience the difference. That's earthway.com. Proudly American made in America's heartland, Bristol, Indiana.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.